Welcome to Michelle's Making. Are you ready for coffee, crafts, cooking, and cocktails? Let's get going. Welcome and welcome back to those of you who are returning. I do appreciate that. Today is National Guitar Day, Inventor's Day, Make a Friend Day. I encourage my granddaughter to do that all the time when she goes to school or I drop her off. I always say, make a new friend today. Also, Women and Girls in Science Day. STEM girls, remember that saying? But do you know what bulletproof vests, fire escapes, windshield wipers, and laser printers all have in common? They were all invented by women, so go women power. Don't cry over spilled milk day. Well, I think we've probably all heard that expression at one point or another, and maybe even said it at one point or another. Basically, don't sweat the small stuff. It's just not worth it. Today, I'm enjoying vanilla caramel creamer in my coffee. I'm gonna finish this up. It's almost gone now, but I'll finish that up. Let's make it a great one and get going. Before we get going, I forgot to mention, it is my oldest granddaughter's birthday today. So a very happy birthday, Haley. I hope it's a great day for you. Today I'm making an Impossible Cheeseburger Pie. And I used to make this years ago when my kids were young, and I just got out of making it for whatever reason, and I forgot. It's kind of yummy. And I'm sort of into bringing back some recipes that I made when my family was young and trying to enjoy those again. But it begins by browning your ground beef. Now, I use a ground beef that's fairly lean, but not too lean. I usually use an 85-15, and I find that doesn't have a lot of grease in it. And usually you can drain it just like I've done here, where I just set the edge of my pan up along, because my stovetop has a little rim on it, and that allows it to drain enough. Put it in my pie pan, and then you use a cup of shredded cheese. Now, I will link the description here because it is on the Bisquick box occasionally, and it's definitely on the Betty Crocker website, but I'm going to link it for you here. And you'll mix up some eggs, lightly scramble them up with a whisk, and add your milk. Next, you add your Bisquicks and continue to whisk it. You want to whisk until it's fairly smooth. Get as many of the lumps out as you can. Once your batter is smooth, you're going to pour it over your cheese and hamburger mix. Now, you can get more creative and add some additional ingredients if you like, onions, mushrooms, whatever you think you might like in there, or what you normally like on your cheeseburger. You could add tomatoes, diced tomatoes, but it does separate and make its own kind of crust once it's in the oven. And this turns out sort of like a quiche pie, I would say, more than a pie that has a pastry, but that's it. My craft today is a winter welcome wreath. Again, I'm trying to use up things I already have in my craft stash, and this leather strap was the handle on a wooden box that I redid some time back and saved the piece of leather. The wreath form I was picked up at Dollar Tree back when it was still $1 instead of $1.25 like it is now. And then the little metal welcome sign piece came in a pack of 3, again from Dollar Tree. And this sweater I had cut up into strips, as you see me here, using the strips to wrap the wreath. The sweater I had picked up at Goodwill for a craft I was working on last winter. But just cut the strips any size that you like. You're just going to need enough so that you can wrap around the entire wreath form. Hot gluing the pieces of sweater as you work your way around. Now be careful because the hot glue will go through materials, so just press lightly, don't burn yourself. Once I was done wrapping the wreath form, it was time to work on my leather strap. I needed to cut off the pieces at each end where it had previously been attached to the wooden box. And I started with scissors, and boy, was that tough to even slightly get a cut into it. And then I grabbed my miter shears and used those, and that was very easy. That cut through it just quick as could be. Next, I adhered the welcome sign to the leather strap using hot glue. I played around with it a little. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it at an angle or do it straight, but I did decide to do it straight along the piece of leather. And like I said, I used hot glue to adhere that. Next, I touched up a little piece of sweater that I saw where it was coming loose, or it wasn't overlapped tight enough there with that weave. I just used a little dab of hot glue. Again, being careful not to touch it with my fingers. I attached the leather strap to the wreath, again using hot glue. But before I did that, I decided I needed a little something decoration-wise, and I had these little upholstery tacks that I believe they're actually the ones that came off that strap to start with. So I cut off using my metal wire, or not wire nips, but yeah, I guess they are wire nips, and cut off the little, pointy nail part that sticks out from the tack, and then just used hot glue and glued them on, 4 of them. I just thought that dressed up the leather a little bit and just added a little touch to it. And using the hot glue, I adhered it to the wreath. After I did this, I wanted to put a bow on the bottom of it, and I really thought that some sort of burlap or jute type would look great. And I was digging through my stash trying to find something, and I couldn't. And then I remembered I had this piece of ruffled jute. Well, I guess it's not jute, it's burlap. Ruffled burlap left over from a craft I had made last year. And I took it off the ruffle, undid the ruffle part and ironed it. And then just made a simple loop bow. I actually had 2 pieces of it. One was small, so I used it as the secondary tail, and just made a plain loop bow and used a piece of thick jute rope to wrap it around the center. And I tied that in a knot and put a dab of hot glue to secure that knot so it wouldn't come undone. I didn't think dovetailing would be the answer to these tails, so instead I just cut them at an angle, and I had 4 tails there, and I thought even if they unraveled a little bit, that would just kind of add to it. I did use a generous amount of hot glue to adhere the bow to the bottom of the wreath. After I did that, I was worried because it seemed to be pulling on the sweater a little bit, and it seemed like it was a little heavy, the bow, for that knitted sweater. So after I glued it on, I took a thin piece of jute tie, just a single wrap around, tied it very tightly in a knot, and put a dab of hot glue to secure that knot as well. And that did seem to firm it up, so I was happy with that. But there you have it, the winter welcome wreath. It's time for an adult beverage, and today I'm making a pink lemonade martini. The recipe will be in the description box. I use the pink lemonade, vodka, triple sec, and my Jose Cuervo sour margarita mix. Everything into the shaker, shake until it's well chilled, and pour it into your chilled martini glass. That's really all there is to this drink. Quick and easy. And of course, after that, the only thing left is to enjoy. Please drink responsibly. Well, folks, that's it for another week. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to make time to stop and smell the coffee. Make it a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.